everyone, my name is Adrian. I'm an ELT student, and today I'm going to present you how to make an effective presentation. Before we start, I have a question for you guys. Who is a great speaker? Do you have any ideas, maybe from the history? Do you have anyone you know who was a great speaker? I can give you some examples if you can answer right now. Maybe Nelson Mandela, or Americans, former President John F. Kennedy, maybe, or Martin Luther King Jr. I'm sure you have heard of them before. Yes. Okay. Before we start, how are we going to prepare our slides and presentation? We must know some storytelling techniques. As humans, we have naturally tendency to tell people things that have happened in our lives, so we are surrounded by narratives every day. And as in many things, storytelling also have techniques. You can see here we divided them into two, traditional techniques and new techniques. Let's start with our first one, the hero's journey. This technique is discovered by mythologist Joseph Campbell. In this technique, takes character through a sequence of stages. The story begins with our character begins a new adventure, and during his or her adventure, he encounters some challenges, but with the help he gets, he overcomes these challenges and returns his old lifestyle as a new and changed person. Our second traditional storytelling technique is 3-act structure. As you can understand from the name of it, it takes part 3, and this technique is generally loved by many people because it includes some climactic moments that leads to a satisfying resolution at the end. And you can see that this technique is used in plays, novels, and films a lot. So like I said, it's made up of 3 parts. In Act 1, this act sets up the story. Here you learn about the characters, the situation, and their world, and you start to connect with people. In Act 2, which is the longest part usually, this act includes the conflict where the stakes escalate. And in Act 3, which is our last part and probably the shortest one, this final act is a resolution. And like I said before, it generally leads to a satisfying resolution, so that's why people really loved it. And yes, we finished our traditional ones, and now it's time to tell you about the new techniques. Let's start with Pixar storytelling method. I'm sure you heard Pixar. I'm sure you watched their animation movies. Which is your favorite? I mean, Cars maybe, Up. I watched it when I was young. I really loved it. Or last year we seen in social media a lot, Inside Out maybe. Which film is your favorite? Mine is definitely Inside Out. Okay, let's start with method. This technique is based on the characters, emotions, and intentions for telling the tale. This general structure the Pixar story follows is once upon a time there was, every day, then one day. I'm sure you know this structures from the tales our parents used to tell us. As you can understand, it has a simple outline, so this simple outline can be applied to business presentations. Steve Jobs, founder of Apple, knew and utilized in his presentations. So, yeah. And our last new method is Sparkline method. Sparkline is a narrative device that delivers a compelling presentation through the use of contrast. This technique is developed by Nancy Duarte, who was a well-regarded communications specialist. And like I said, it has contrast, so this technique includes the structure of what is and what could be. I think the most famous example I can give you for this method is Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech. You can see his picture here, and about the picture you can see a YouTube link there. If you wanna watch that I Have a Dream speech of Martin Luther King Jr., you can click the link and go to YouTube and watch it. So, yes, we finished our storytelling techniques. Like I said, we had 4: the hero's journey, 3: arc structure, Pixar telling, and sparkline method. So, which technique you would choose if you were preparing a presentation? Personally, I think I would choose Pixar storytelling because it is easy to connect with characters in Pixar storytelling for me, but if you are keen on to adventure stuff, you can also love the hero's journey and 3-act structure. Yes. And now it's our presentations making. Before starting your presentation, ask yourself these questions. What is your intentions and who is your audience? First, what is your intentions? This question is very important because having a clear intention gives your story focus so you can begin crafting the appropriate content and not wasting your audience's time. And second question, who is your audience, also important as the first one because knowing your audience gives you focus on your presentation because it makes you easier to connect with audience, know why they are here and why they are listening to your presentation right now. So if you know audience, it's more easy to present your presentation to them. Our next slide is, after determining your intentions and audiences, you need to start developing the content. There are 6 fundamental building blocks to creating a story. As you can see here, character, structure, storyline, authenticity, audience engagement, and the hook. Character is important because, actually for me, the most important one is character because if you write or put a character in your presentation or a story, someone who's relatable to audience, it's more easy to get their captivity to the plot, you know. Thing I want to say is the more likable a character is, the more likes the story or the presentation gets. So, the second one is structure. Structure should be easy to follow. Storyline, it should be chronicle and must include resistance and transformation. Authenticity, I don't know if I'm correcting or pronouncing right, but it's crucial because if presenter isn't being themselves, audience cannot connect the subject. Also, authenticity allows you to educate your audience, show your intention, and allows audience to decide how they feel for themselves. Audience engagement, which is also important as the other ones. It's also very important because interacting with audience leads you to connect with audience, and so they can focus your presentation easily. And the last one is the hook. So that you can capture audience's attention, including a hook to your presentation is very important. You can tell stories to them to do this. You know, I'm giving a tip. You can tell them funny stories so you can capture their attention. So, like I said in the beginning, for me, the most important thing that makes you connect with presentation or book I'm read is character. I mean, if I love a character, I move on to do presentation or book I'm reading, but if I don't like character or I can't relate to character, I can't keep on. So, what are your opinions? What is the most important thing for you? in a presentation or a story or in a movie. Okay guys, thank you for all your answers. And now our next step is how to develop our presentation. First of all, making a presentation is not a fun activity if it's just putting in information there. Instead, create a visual storybook that helps you bring the written content to life. So we have 3 steps for that. 1. Write down a narrative. Write your narrative so that you can think about your structure and language before starting and not making conflicts during the presentation. The second one is create a visual story. Work through paragraph by paragraph and decide if this idea needs a slide and etc. And create something that looks beautiful so you can, like I'm saying again, get all your audience's attention so they listen to you during your presentation. And our third one is how will your slide look like by sorry guys. Our next one is storyboard and explore what each slide should look like. You can do this by storyboarding that I'm gonna tell you in the next slide. And also the other thing that you need to be cautious is make sure your slides are accessible for all learners. So you need to think about all type of audiences you are presenting your presentation. Try to get all people's attention. And yes, like I said, storyboarding. A storyboard is a sequence of illustrations, images, or sketches used to organize and pre-visualize content. We have some storyboarding tips for that. Less is more. I mean, while doing your slides, try to do more pictures and less words, because personally, if I'm listening to a presentation, if I see more words everywhere, it will be so boring. And it's usually like this. People won't listen to your presentation if your presentation is boring. So try to use more pictures and less words. And think through what needs to be illustrated. I mean, if there is something unnecessary in your slides, please remove them, because like I said, it's being boring when you put them. And think about the positioning each slide. Your slides should look aesthetic to get all your audience's attention. And our last one is make sure all your slides are well designed graphically. Like, it's similar to the third one we talked about. You need to be careful your slides in an aesthetic way. And yes, also the other 3 things that you need to be careful is the font. The font should be seen from the far away, and it shouldn't be that big, it shouldn't be that small. You need to be careful about that. And the color, you must use contrast color in your slides, because like I said, in the font, it should be seen from far away. And imagery, it's similar to more is less, less is more part. You should use imagery, but the pictures you use needs to be relevant to the slides you're preparing. So pay attention to these, please. And yes, that was all. This is my bibliography. I use FutureLearn course, learning from how to make an effective presentation. And you can see my 3 comments. It was an interactive course you can join. And that's all. Thank you for listening to me. See you next week.